Let's take a look at taking the faceplate off of the Phase 700. First of all, let's take a look down here. I have a towel tucked underneath it, and if you can see this, I've got the body of the amplifier sitting up on some little spaces. I use some electric tape here, and the reason is the faceplate is larger than the housing, so if you undo your bolts, you're gonna have to struggle with this, trying to pull the bolts out as the amp's trying to fall down and the faceplate's holding it up. All right, so let's come over here. Okay, your faceplate. Last thing you want to do is scratch that. So you're going to take some blue tape all the way around there. Once you scratch this, there's no fixing it. Put a little light on there. 7/16 open end wrench on one side. You come around the back with 7/16 inch socket, and you want to loosen it up. You do not want to move this at all. If it's tough, tight, get somebody else to hold this while you loosen that up. What's going to happen if this starts to spin is it's going to start leaving marks around it, which you're not going to get out, trust me. If it's tough, go down to Pep Boys or Kragen or what is it now, O'Reilly's, and buy yourself some anti-seize and spray it on, and then come back after a day and tackle it and try again. But don't muscle this. Now you can see it's sort of pretty easy to come off because that body is resting up, and then you find the finest towel you can in the house, and you're going to want to lay that down on it. Alright, so the faceplate's coming off. Very carefully maneuver that corner in there. Underneath the PC board on this side, just be very careful, rest it on your towel, and there we go. Talk a little about safety before I get too much into this, obviously. Unplug it, but you're going to want to discharge these two large capacitors. Power supply, can you see them there? 1, 2, and you're going to come across here, and you're basically going to, what I do is I have a little device here. It's a 1K resistor on a set of alligator jacks, and you can see what I'm doing is I'm putting them right across the capacitors on this side, the PC board side. Leave them on for about a minute just to make sure I fully discharge it. But let me show you what's going on here. You've got these two, 1, 2, and then if you can see down below, you're going to want to get those also. Can you see them both? Right down at the bottom. Maybe I can zoom in. There we go. All right. And you can do that at any point. Just be aware that this thing is, there's still going to be, even though it's unplugged, those caps hold an awful lot of power. So it might be easier to take the faceplate off and do that. But until then, just be aware this thing is energized. Let's look at the switch. There's a little set screw in that knob. I've already removed this one, but it's just a small blade screwdriver to take it out. Okay, here's the old switch over here. New switch over here. As you can see, the casing is absolutely identical. What's different is this is a single pull, single throw, and this one is a double pull, double throw, and we're going to go over the wiring for that. I have labeled this red and green over there, and we'll go over that in a little while. But basically the exact same cases, the same manufacturers, it's just a different switch in the housing. You can always take a double pull, double throw and use it for a single pull, single throw. You just can't go the other way around. I don't know if you can see that, but they're both rated 6 amps. Let's see if I can get in there. No, trust me. They're both 6 amps, 125 volts, and they are basically identical housing. Just one is a single pull, single throw, the original, and the replacement is double pull, double throw. Let's see, one other note I want to make is the shafts on these actually came longer, and I guess Bob Carver had to cut them all down. You can see the cut marks on that, and I have done the same thing with the replacement switches. I've cut them down to the proper length. Okay, so one other frustrating difference between these switches is the original, well actually, original is 0.345 and the replacement is 0.375 inches. which basically means we've got to drill a hole out a little bit. The existing hole is 11/32, and we're going to drill it out to 3. Tape off the face like you did the bolts. Come in here. There we go. Which is in. I ended up re-drilling that hole 25/64. It's just a hair above 3/8. It was a little bit tight fit, and I was pulling this thing in and out a couple times for these videos. All right, so let's take a look at the switch. You've got one nut on the back and one nut in the front, no washer. You want that knob to fit relatively tight. Were before. Okay, so I've oriented this switch a little differently than how the old one was, and that's basically because if it really doesn't matter, this is a rotary switch, but this was getting a little close to the light over there. Didn't touch it, but I just felt a little more comfortable doing it like this. So let's take a look at the hookup. Let's see, I have labeled this green. Can you see that? One contact is green, the other contact is red. These don't indicate safe or danger or anything. It was just I needed 2 different color fingernail polishes, and that's all my wife had. Anyway, the green is going to be power in. You're going to trace that, goes directly to your plug. Test it when you're pulling it apart, or you could stick an ohm meter on your, socket there and plug there and test it there. But that's where the green is where power in is going to go, and then the red, which is down here, and I've got them labeled for you. Those are the other 2 wires which are connected on the other end of the original one. They're going to the red. One goes to trace it, it goes right here to this strip and then goes to the light. So that's obviously once power goes there, power on, and the other goes back to the transformer. It doesn't really matter if you get these 2 mixed around, it's still going to work. But the reason I wanted to do power in on this one is so when the switch is in the off position, this is not energized on that side. Not that it really matters if you're poking around in here while it's plugged in. I'm sure you're going to be aware to not touch anything, but it just didn't make a whole lot of sense in the opposition to have a hot lead over there. So anyway, let's try and stick with this. The hot is the green coming from the plug, and then the red goes to the power on light and to the transformer. I oriented up and down like this. Seems to work fine. You do not need to worry so much about, I just put a socket wrench on that when I tighten it up, because you can see if you get any scratches in there, it's probably going to be covered up by the knob. I have no idea where this is supposed to point. There's no on or off, so my off position is going to be straight up, and I'll set it so on is like that. Put it all back together the way we took it apart. I already took the top and bottom cover off for all this, and that should do it. All right, and there we go, all done, working. One other thing I wanted to mention is sometimes these knobs get sort of oxidized in place. You need to be very careful about removing that. That knob is probably harder to find than the switch. If you're having issues with that, drop me an email and I can give you a couple of tricks to get it off. I've dealt with this quite a bit with JBL products. So there you have it. Again, I'd probably drill a 25/60 4th-inch hole in there instead of the 3/8. It's kind of a surprise. I thought these things were the exact same size. I didn't realize that until I started installing it. I didn't have much to work off of except a picture of these rascals on a surplus electrical site. No specs, no nothing. So they all showed up. Checked them all out, and they looked identical. Didn't even think to measure the shaft. But anyway, yeah, it works fine once you draw out the faceplate. Be careful. All of these I'm going to cut down to the right length. I have a total of 7. 1 is in mine. These are all gone. Once they're gone, I can't find them anywhere. Maybe you'd have better luck. But anyway, 6 left. Yeah, if you're having problems with the set screw on that, let me know. And if you don't want to tackle this, you can send it to me, and I'll do it for you. All right, thanks.